Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to seek apologize for not able to deliver this lecture in person. Yeah, thank you very much for Universitas Nasional, especially to Dr. Iskandar for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share some ideas on what we call as Malay heritage. Yeah, as my background was architecture, today I'll be focusing more on architecture, especially on Malay architecture, focusing on two typology of buildings. One is what we call as a vernacular house, and the second one what we call as a vernacular mosque. Okay, allow me to share the screen. I hope you can see my screens there. Let me do a bit of adjustment here. Okay. Today I'm going to deliver Today I'm going to deliver a lecture titled Uncovering Lost Heritage of the Malay Architectures, a case of vernacular house and mosque. Yeah? A brief introduction of myself. I'm a professor of Islamic architecture from UCSI University, Malaysia. Yeah, I've been staying in Malaysia for 24 years. Yeah, my focus of my research and lectures was more on theory of architecture, culture heritage, Islamic architecture, and Islamic tourism. As you can see here, I published some books, do some research. I was an expert committee for Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka Malaysia, and also a senior editor for some of the key journals in the field of Islamic architectures and Malay architectures in the regions. Yeah. I would like to start the discussion on the house first. Yeah. When we're looking at how the city planning and housing was designed, especially in Malaysia, as you can see here, of course, it happens also in other part of Southeast Asia. We are trapped on what we call an object-centered discourse when we see our house is more of a man-made, ready-made, and repeated, what we call stylized. Yeah? In order for us to progress, we need to start questioning. Yeah? And luckily, our heritage, especially in Malay architecture, have lots of lessons that we can learn from our the design of modern house nowadays. When we're looking at the histories of housing, yeah, it started with the Industrial Revolution in Europe. It goes when the communist ideologies comes out in the Eastern Europes, and when you're looking at the capitalistic feudalisms, yeah, when the house become a human resource, yeah, before that, it's a house for, it's like a modern house for workers, and become a patriotic type of monumentalization of house in Eastern Europe, and it become human resource. Even some people say house is a investment, yeah, no longer a place to live. Yeah. The result in Malaysia, yeah, it might happen with other countries in South Asia. House become a parking lot for families. Yeah, people just family just stay there for to spend the nights, and then most of the time they work for works, schools, and during the weekend they go to the shopping complex or other places, yeah, to enjoy life. Yeah, of course, some people say no, housing is now is a novelty investment properties. Yeah, people buy house not to stay, just for the sake to make their money invested. Yeah. Of course, now most house in most areas in the world lost what they call a humanity and the center creators. Yeah? I mean, they lost the values of humans in that particular house. In Malaysia, today I'll be talking about one of the issues. Yeah? There are at least 6 issues. Yeah? First, what we call an issue of safeties. Yeah, in this issue of safeties, with the design of high-rise buildings, apartments. Yeah, the grid system of housings. Yeah, there's a Muhammad Fakri and Siti Suzainis. There are two cases which happen in Malaysia where they fall from high-rise and when they hit by cars because you let the car enter your building. So with our traditional Malays housings have a solution for that. But I won't discussing about that in details. Of course, you have an issue of crimes. Yeah? While in our traditional housing, you have eyes on the streets, the concept of eye on the street, when the whole village can easily recognize when alien come to your house. Yeah, but in modern house, when you don't know your neighbor, can easily happening in your modern housings now. You have an issue of privacy. Yeah, for in my opinion, when you hang your underwears in front of your house, there's a privacy violations. The house itself have a lot of privacy issues, yeah, with the back-to-back windows, corridors. Those type of housings increase the possibilities of privacy violation in housings. Yeah. Well, compared to our traditional house, you can discuss in details. Yeah, there are less privacy violation happening in those olden traditional housings. Yeah. Of course, you have intercultural problems when you have different races between one house to another house. Yeah, some Malay maybe like to dry or cook salted fish. Yeah, of course, the Indian might would like to cook curries, while the Chinese might would like to pray in the morning and in the afternoon when the smokes go inside your house. So it become intercultural problems. Yeah, in Malaysia. Of course, you have thermal comfort problems when you build up your house using RC and also bricks, concrete, reinforced concrete. While in the traditional time, you are using timber, yeah, much more humanized, much more humans materials. When they don't trap the heat inside the house, yeah, you don't need air conditioning in the village during that time. If you're looking at today, I'm going to be talking in details more on the need to expand a grow ability of a house. Yeah, if you see, this is the original pictures of a villagers move one house from one village to another village. Maybe somebody is getting married, and the father donate the portion of the house into another village, yeah, for their son or their daughter. In the let's discuss that in details. In the modern families, you cannot run away from these four issues. Yeah, sometimes your family will grow. Yeah, from 2% become 5%, 3%. When you get kids, yeah, sometimes you have a different cultural problems when two or three generation of families or your family members staying in one house, and of course you have expansion of family because of the marriage and different type of relations. Yeah, and the last one, you cannot run away that your family might be moving. Yeah, because now people are no it's normal with the global village ideas that you might stay in one part of the cities while you're working in the other part of city. It took you 1 or 2 hours to travel. Yeah, so sometimes you must consider you cannot move because your house cannot move. Yeah, then let's see what are the lessons from our traditional house that we can learn. Yeah. As you can see here, the traditional architectures was based on the ideas of human bodies as their measuring elements. Yeah, if they don't use metrics or maybe continental's approach, yeah, or American ways of weighting. Yeah, you also have one finger, two finger, satu jengkal, satu ketak, satu ketuk, satu mustis. Yeah, these are the measurement. We use our human bodies on doing that. It might be very weird, but when I did a research back in 2004, when trying to find the modular aspects, modular properties of traditional height, I cannot find it. The reason is that because they don't put specific module for the house, but they design. I mean, the our traditional builders was very expert. Yeah? They actually measure the house based on the measurement of the ibu. Ibu is a mother of the house. That's why they call it rumah ibu. Yeah? So all the traditional house was measured or use a standard of measurement of the mother. Yeah, it's very good. Even the modern architect can't do that. Yeah, you design a house specifically or measure it based on the measurement of the owners. Like when we want to make a clothes, fashions, when you measure the owners, and you measure the house based on that. Very particular and very clever. Yeah. Another thing is that if you look at the house, it's organic. Your house have an organic concept, means that it can grow, yeah, from one rumah ibu into different type of house. Yeah, it depends, yeah, on how, as I said, organic concepts. Yes, you say that's why it can be moved. Yeah. Let me see. This is a picture I've mentioned to you before. As you can see here, one of the key element is because of the jointing system. Yeah, in Malaysia we call it tanggam. Yeah. In Indonesia they call it pasak. Yeah. You use a pasak rather than paku. Yeah. You don't bolt it down, but you put station jointing, special jointing, in order for them to be dismantled. So our traditional house can be dismantled. I've been a witness of 20 or even 40 housings being moved, yeah, from Kelantan, Terengganu, or other outside, rural area of Malaysia into Kuala Lumpur, the UPM and IIUM. I saw how the house was being dismantled and being reconstructed again with the specific jointing system. So, yeah, it is very precision. I mean, the precision was amazing. Yeah, you can see how from one house, you put a proper number, it can be constructed into the same house. Same like in modern time we call an IKEA for the tables and wardrobes. Yeah? But here you are dismantling and you're reconstructing the whole house. Yeah? As you can see here, these are some of the jointing system they're using. Yeah? So if the house start from rumah ibu, a small basic one, it can be had serambi, selang, dapur, etc. So it can grow. But at the same time, if you want to release some part of it, it can easily dismantle. This is the thing that even our traditional house cannot go with it. Of course, there are few things that I would like that we need to consider. I put up some important keynotes there. One is material selection. You cannot dismantle RC or bricks. Of course, you need to see the spaces, how the spaces fluids, yeah, between one space to another spaces. Of course, you need to understand the structural extension or jointing system. And then a socio-cultural condition of the house. Of course, the last one will be the sensitivity of the house to the context. So if we start the questioning, yeah, why our house, our modern house cannot be like our traditional house, as I mentioned before. It can be moved, can be dismantled, yeah, can be added, yeah, as easy as that. Yeah. That is the question for the future designer. Yeah. The concept can go into your small office. It can go into your housings, yeah, in the kampong. Then you can move it to the cities as easy as that. Okay, that's a issue from the house. Yeah. I would like to discuss also about the vernacular mosque, yeah, another aspect of heritage that I believe we should encourage to discuss further. When we talk about mosque, most of the time we talk about that mosque should be, yeah, should we have an Arabic Middle East image, yeah? Or you should have a dome, it should have a minaret, arches, etc., etc. Yeah? Monumental scales, yeah, symmetrical hierarchies. Yeah, these are the features that supposed to be stay in the mosque. I would like to start with a very simple of picture here. At the left side, you see there's a Rabbi Ibrahim bin Ezra. Yeah, Rabbi Ezra was a rabbi, is a Jewish priest. Yeah, but if Ibrahim bin Ezra come to our mosque today, I believe he can become the imam of the mosque. Yeah? Same thing as you can see here, because he's wearing, yeah, yeah, he's wearing Middle East clothes. Yeah? Same thing as you can see at the right side. There's a priest and sheikh in 1919 revolution in Egypt. We cannot differentiate which one is sheikh, which one is priest, just because they're staying in Egypt. Yeah, if you can see the Quran, yeah, there, the ornamentation of Quran, you see the ornamentation of the mosque there, Coptic museums, Akmar Mosque, another thing, Sultan House and Church in Zuaila. You can see some of the feature was the same. It means that the ornamentation was not actually coming from the Islamic cultures, but it come from the local cultures. I'm going to explain that further. If you're looking at the Prophet Muhammad's mosque here, because the mosque was very simple. This is the most original form of mosque, if you refer to. Yeah. As Islam is a very tolerant religion, it go to different part of the world, it adapt a local technologies and culture, and of course the architecture language. As you can see here, in some area like Middle East, it use hypostyle typologies. Yeah? It go to Turkish with the central dome, with the onion dome in India, of course E1 gate in Iranian. Yeah? You have a Chinese typology, and of course Southeast Asia. As you can see here, these are the real mosques. Yeah? It's not just a sketches. So you can see how Islam was adapting a local language into their architecture. As you can see at the bottom there, the Nusantara, or you can Malay world's mosque, it use a local language. Yeah. So why we would like to force ourselves to build up a mosque with Middle Eastern language while we have our own language in Southeast Asia? Yeah. Even the modern design also speak a different language. You have revivalism, geometry, structuralism, regionalism, type of architectures there. In Indonesia, when I did my PhD, I differentiate into uh, seven classifications. You have a traditional, foreign acculturation, Mogul, colonial, etc. Yeah? You see a different variation of language. So you don't have to force yourself to put a domes, a minaret, or Middle Eastern image in the design of mosque in our region. Yeah. As you can see, same thing happened in Malaysia. Yeah, you have traditional vernacular, Sino-eclectic, when mosques have a Chinese influence, European classical, North Indian, etc. Yeah. So if we summarize things, yeah, I'm trying to be very brief here. If we summarize the discussion of the mosque, we can see that number one, there's a whole discourse on misunderstanding of the mosque. Yeah, I don't have time to discuss this in detail. But as you can see here, there's a social role of the mosque, something that most of the time missing. Yeah, from the design of our mosque, as stated by Prof. Muhammad Tajuddin at the beginning. Yeah, you have a social da'wah center, political center, welfare centers. Yeah, with that, you can come up with the programs. Yeah, academic program, or program. With that program and that syllabus, yeah, the center for the mosque, the design of mosque itself can evolve. Yeah, of course, you can see them. There is a strategy how you manage the qibla wall, outside spaces, seating, minarets, yeah, ornamentation. All these need to be re-questioned, yeah, with our understanding of the context of Malay and of course the context of modern society's needs. Okay, to close down my presentation today, I would like to raise up a question. Why our mosque cannot be like our Kampung Laut Mosque? As you say, there's a two type of mosque here. The left side was Putrajaya Mosque, which use Iranian architecture language, while at the right side you have Kampung Laut Mosque, one of the oldest mosques in Malaysia. Yeah, why don't we try to understand the language? Why don't we use the specific characteristic of architecture to be used in our design of mosque? Why a mosque in Indonesia cannot be like Masjid Demak at the right side, while you have a golden mosque at the left side, yeah, in Indonesia? Okay, to sum up the presentation, when we discuss about mosque questionings, yeah, I would like to give a formulas here, even though that's not the answer. But Islamic architecture is a design approach that it anchors of values of Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah, interpreted special cultural context. You need a specific cultural context, which is Southeast Asia, which is Malay world, yeah, compared to other part of the world. Environmentally sustainable technologies, yeah, there. With that, I would like to finish my presentation. Thank you very much for giving times for me to share some ideas to spark the questions, and hopefully we can discuss and formulate a further discourse, yeah, for the goods of architectures in Malay's world and in the Southeast Asia. With that, I'll end up my presentation. Yeah. Let me stop the sharing first. Okay. With that, I would like to end my presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.